And also you gotta see like our behavior is very tribal too.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how we evolve and that's how we survive and that's how we conquer it is being tribal. So you're always gonna get that pushback, but there's an evolution to that. How? By you im- learning from that other environment. So you can now you don't become just a tribe, but now you become a real team. And this is where like I always talk about this. Like at work, everyone thinks they're a team, but they're really small tribal groups,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? They're not a team. A team means everyone is working in conjunction to the same objective, but we're tribal, right? Political parties is a tribe, right? You know, it. And one thing you were saying is also the segregations. How good have segregation worked for us in history? We know that is not good for us. And also, I do believe also that and we don't talk this much when we talk about education. It's like I do believe we have to teach our kids how to create healthy boundaries for yourself. Because then when you grow as an adult and then you have all these traumas, it's because you never learn how to create healthy boundaries. Now, healthy boundary doesn't mean uh, that you're going to create them egocentrically.
Right.
No, you're going to create them because they're good to build relationships with people, right? And they're a respect for yourself and for others, right? So that way you're able to understand like who can come in and who can come out, right? And you start purging who's good for you and who's not. But also, Dr. Blanton, I have two questions for you. I do believe that in schools we definitely need more physical education because how important it is for the hypothalamus to produce all these good hormones. And think about it at that age. At my age, I can't be sitting down all day. I got to go outside. I got to run. I got to go work out. And a child is only given like what 30 minutes of recreation time, physical activity. I do believe that the curriculum has to give more of that physical education. But also, I wanted also your thought about what is charter school
Mm-hmm.
and with reading.
So the first question, yes, definitely, we need to make sure that students are moving. That is a part of development. That's a part of their development. And if we do not allow them to move, then again, we're hindering part of their growth. We're stunting part of their growth pattern. And so the whole notion with kindergarten, there because society says that we need the children can't read, so we need to give them more, not understanding that if you take a break, let them go out and move their bodies, then come back, they're ready. The brain now is stimulated, it's ready. But when you don't give brain breaks, it's not going they're not going to hold it in their mind. Just us, after an hour in a meeting, we start doodling. 45 minutes, we start doodling, right? So just imagine children, they're gone. So all the stuff that you teach her, all the stuff that you're saying is in one ear and out the other. Because see, right now I see outside, I need to move. I need to be out there. I need to move. Um, so there was a big thing about taking blocks and dramatic play out of kindergarten. And in my district, we put it back in, right? It's good for multi-language learners, that it creates a safety net for them to be able to learn the language in a way that is non-threatening. And so as they're building with these blocks, they're talking to their friends, they're trying to communicate with their friends. That's the impetus of learning the language, right? They're playing, they're having a great time, they're problem solving, they're creating, they're imagining. And so to take those things away from a kid, knowing that it has value, it goes back to my question: is literacy the goal for every American
Mm.
when we do things like that? And as far as charter schools are concerned, listen, wherever parents think that their child will thrive the best, that's up to them. But what I do know is that our charter schools really need to invest in professional development that's going to connect research and practice. And this is for public schools as well. You can't just go in thinking that I can teach because I know this subject, right? That does not a teacher make, right? You have to know um, the social constructs of human development. You've got to know your content, yes, but then you have to know how to deliver it in a way that the children are going to receive it. And that's a skill, that's an art. And so I don't have a problem with charter schools. The problem that I have is sometimes the capacity of the teachers are lacking.
Mm. I like what you're saying because also the agenda of charter schools is everyone has to go to college. That's the number one promotion of why charter schools, and it's a good, I believe it's a good thing, but I do think there's going to be a lot of kids that are going to be more crafty. They might want to go to a craft school. There's nothing wrong with craft school. You were mentioning plumbers, electric, they're engineers. And I want people to understand these individuals are engineers. Try to do a carpenter's job. I I dare you. I can't even cut one thing that I will mess up a whole. And that's the whole point. There's a lot of creativity. We don't promote trade schools that much, and in the curriculum of even in universities, the lack of active participation of the public. For example, you guys, are more freshly out of college, both graduated college. How actively were you guys participating in school, where you had a healthy debate about criteria of what a teacher was talking about? Because that's you want to embrace, you want to I would say develop further, I would say, ways of communicating. You have to learn how to debate, and debating, it's not about even winning, it's about exposing the best idea.
Yeah. I have to say though, I appreciated college more than like high school and grammar school because I was able to like structure my day around like what my passion was in education, and then from there learn all of the other subjects. And I liked the like openness to the collegiate level of teaching than like my high school. And I noticed the difference, and I thrived in college more than I did in high school. Yeah, but go ahead. Sorry, Kevin.
No, that was perfect. That was perfect. Yeah, I like college more than the other educations as well because it was about expressing an idea. There in the classes I took, there wasn't like a one answer is the answer. It was more about how can you express your idea about the subject and give it your turn. So I went to school for a bachelor in fine arts and photography, and that was fun. I loved it so much. One of the classes that I did have like a little debate in. I think I had like some debate too with some of my professors sometimes. Um, but like what one of the classes I do remember is about my portfolio class. So and I was like really looking forward to that class. I didn't know how to really set a portfolio. Like really like how to take my work, put it into a book or to a place that that really could be like, hey, this is all the best pieces. Um, but instead of going through like a portfolio process, what we went through was like an editing process, like how to edit an image, and it was just like how to manipulate the photo, right? And I'm like, I don't really want to manipulate the photo. I'm not trying to do any like tricks in editing. I want to learn how to set a portfolio. Um, so I reached out to my professor and I told her like I'm so far before my college years. I picked up the camera and I always had the camera since I was 14. So even throughout my whole high school, I always had the camera. So I was already like proficient enough in all my basics. So my basics were already locked in. Just because I practiced for years on years on years, and it's self-taught education on the camera work, right? Um, so when I was going through that portfolio class, just trying to teach us the basics of editing, but not the basics of portfolio like organizing.
Right.
So I told the teacher, like, I'm not trying to do any editing tricks, and she took that to a little offense. But I'm like, it's an editing trick, right? It's like it's not building my portfolio, and we'll shoot and we'll shoot and we'll shoot, and none of it was connecting to a building a portfolio. It was more like this is how you use the tone curve, just connect this with the exposure, and I told her that, and it was just I feel like I still never learned how to build a proper portfolio. And one of my other teachers, I think he agreed with it too, because I think they had like a conversation with each other. Because like the next class I went in with the next teacher, he started saying tricks, like during every each thing. So I think he kind of agreed with it, and the other teacher was just kind of like mad at me. But I saw the good grades, good everything.
Imagine how many people go through that experience of wanting to learn something, and then unfortunately the curriculum is different from the teacher.
I don't think that it was so much of a change. We've always had a reading problem. There's always been a reading problem, right? COVID did not unveil this great big reading problem. COVID unveiled the access and accessibility, right? That woke us up. But we've always had a problem in this country with reading, going back to anti-literacy laws. So I just want to preface what I'm about to say with the fact that our brains were not wired to read. We have to teach it to read, right? It does this great thing, right? It rewires itself, right, to form pathways for reading to develop. A lot of people don't understand that. It's very different than language. Language, you can put a child in a room full of people who are speaking and they will speak. You don't have to teach them how to talk, right? That is not going to happen for reading. You cannot sit someone in a room full of people who are reading, whether they're reading out loud or silently. It's not going to happen. You have to teach it to read, right? That starts very early. What we think is reading starts in kindergarten, and then we build these habits in kindergarten. And if we think that, we're 5 years already behind, right? Reading starts really at the moment of conception. How? Well, all of the stuff that mom eats, all of the environmental pressures and stress impacts the developing brain. Reading is all about the brain. The brain is the main character, right? And so if we understand that, then we have a point of reference. And so how do we build stamina, right? Because in order to learn to read and read well, you have to build stamina. I'm like, this is a race, right? Not for the quick athlete, but it's endurance. And it took us years, decades to get here. My book has only been out since August. It's not going to take months for us to get out. And so people have to come to the point where I came to and say, okay, I reflected, now I see, and now I'm going to do better. When you know better, you do better.